All right. I realized that I missed a few questions. One from Linda. Important, very important question. So I missed the text. I'm sorry. I forgot to check my text messages. So is that an Iowa undershirt I'm wearing? No, it's not an Iowa undershirt. It's a Shakopee Soccer shirt. So that answers number one. Another question is, when is retail location by Canterbury expected? Possibly parenthetical for launch. We don't know that yet. We don't know how the timing is going to work because the barns are the conundrum as to how they can come down and still continue racing. That puts it either a year ahead or a year back. So it takes a while to figure that out, and we're working through that now. So Canterbury, we don't know for sure. And these are questions from Lucia. I forgot to mention a new restaurant possibly going in downtown for pastries, ice cream, gourmet sandwiches, and salads. Goal is to launch this summer. That would be awesome. So we'll hope for that all to happen, continue that way. And then another question is, what are your thoughts on moving toward a 7-member city council? One of your councilors seems to be more concerned about micromanaging city departments than doing his job as an elected official. Can you please remind him that we are currently in the middle of hiring some high-profile positions in the city and that he should be focusing on that? It's too bad that you are no longer Emperor of Shakopee. Somebody changed my Wikipedia entry to the Shakopee's Wikipedia entry to, instead of Mayor Brad Tabke, it was Emperor Brad Tabke. I think they meant it as a dig, but I loved it and it made me laugh. So that's one thing. So just think, if you were still the emperor, you wouldn't have to run for re-election. You could just re-elect yourself. So that would be something. But thoughts on moving toward a 7-member council. This is actually a big one, and we're going to tackle a piece of this, I hope, this summer. Couple things that we need to do is change mayor from being a 2-year term to a 4-year term. So that's one thing as council I would like to talk about this summer, as well as getting all of our elections from off-year elections to on-year elections. We'll save a ton of money by doing that. We'll also get larger voter pools by doing that as well. There's some give and take discussion whether by moving to normal year elections that will reduce the quality of the vote. I think that's just a scare tactic myself. I think that if the vote is there, people will go for it. It's not like we're, no offense to Gary, but it's not like we're electing soil and water conservation district folks. This is mayor of the city and council members for the city. So I think that that's the thing that people will pay attention to and would do a good job of being educated on, even if there is a presidential year going on and so forth. So I think that would be more efficient and a better thing for us. As to moving toward a 7-member council, it's something that I would consider. I'm not sure if I like it very much. 5 people is hard enough to wrangle. 7 people adds a whole lot of dynamics into it, as well as would make it so that people are very parochial, that people would have the ability, instead of 5 people, 40,000 residents, you have to deal for the entire community. At least 3 people have to handle the entire community and work for the entire community. When you get to 7 people, I think in a city our size, it becomes very myopic, and so you just focus on your neighborhood and your very pet projects and thing you want to do, because you wouldn't need to everybody have to be together and work together to get projects done. And so that is one concern that I have about going to 7. A thought that we've tossed around and I've talked with some folks about is sticking with our 5 members and making wards. So have a 3 members that are wards. So we have an area that's north of 10th and an area that is south of 10th and east of Marshall. And I don't know how these numbers work out. And then the rest of the town on the east side. So we have a few members who are toward a district, because I mean, except for Pamela Sherman, we haven't had anyone, and she didn't live there for the majority of her terms, I believe. We haven't had anybody from Southbridge elected to city council at all. I mean, there's been no one recently, anyway, who is in from Southbridge area. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm realizing Joe Hellcamp lives in Southbridge, so I'm not sure if he lived there when he was on council or not. But very little representation from the newer areas of town on city council. And so I think that's something really important that we need to look at. Another option is just to throw the whole thing out and start over. If I were to have my way and do it the way I would really like to do it, we would have a 6-member city council plus the mayor, and so the mayor wouldn't vote. White Bear Lake has this setup, and I love it. The mayor doesn't vote at all, so the mayor advocates and works for positions. The mayor is a tiebreaker, and the mayor also has a veto. And the veto isn't tough to override, but the mayor also has a veto, and so it would not be used very often, but it would be a good thing to keep everything going and remove the politics from that position and be able to advocate for great projects and not have to be a voting member for a great project, but really say that this is why this is good for Shakopee and why this is really a good thing. To get that done, would have to change us to a charter city, which would be a huge vote, a lot of work, a lot of time, and I'm not sure it's worth it at this point, but it's something we should definitely look at for the future. So as regard to micromanaging city departments, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. We've got some work that's being done by some city council members that I don't think is necessarily the best path forward for the community, but that's not my call to make. I work with everybody as best as I possibly can, and they were elected just as I was elected, and they get to run the job exactly how they want to run the job, same way that I do that. So I don't agree with it, and we're working on a few things, but we are working on it, and working together as a team always has its ups and its downs, and so we're getting there. But wouldn't mind being emperor again. So if anybody wants to change the city Wikipedia, that is awesome. So thank you. I'm sorry I missed the text.